Hello viewers, welcome to Krishna Pradeep IAS. This is Lohit. So today we are going to start with mass optional orientation class. So first of all, getting into mass optional orientation class, I want to be very clear about one point that what is the main term that you have to understand about choosing an optional? So first of all, everybody have different kinds in UPSC. There are different kinds of optional, where why to choose optional and why to choose exclusively max. First of all, going to which optional to choose. So there are different ways and different optionals are there available in the market, but still, what is the best suggestion by me to choose mass optional? So first of all, mass optional is scoring. And most of the portion available in the mass optional is static. Static in the sense, once if you had done with the syllabus, then it is very easy for you to revise the topics, because there is no dynamic portion or other options related current affairs to that you have to learn in mass optional. And one thing you have to be very clear, another important step that you have to choose mass optional was, in Indian Forest Service, mass optional plays a key role. So these are the main things that you have to learn by choosing a mass optional. Next thing, how lengthy the syllabus is. Basically, mass optional is little lengthy syllabus, but still it takes around 6 to 7 months to complete the syllabus, and daily you have to prepare around 1 to 2 hours apart from classes to make strength on the subject. And what was the syllabus available in your mass optional? There are two papers, paper 1 and paper 2. In paper 1, you will be having around 6 chapters. In paper 2, you will be having 7 chapters. In paper 1, it is little easy to score, and paper 2 is little lengthy but still scoring. In paper 1, you will be having correlation of some chapters with the paper 2. For example, if you consider ODE correlation with PDE. ODE is in paper 1 and PDE is in paper 2. Okay, and the chapters which are correlated one was calculus and real analysis. There is a correlation of some of the topics. And what we learned till 10th, let's consider, for example, analytical geometry that you learned in your 10th class. Geometry is there in 10th class, and matrices is there in 10th class, and some of the topics what is there in our mass optional that you already learned in our 10th standard. And mass optional basically helpful for both engineering mass background students and non-mass background students. The reason was the entire syllabus is related to your 10th standard. And another thing that you have to learn was, here there are 2 chapters which were related to physics also. Let's consider, for example, statics and as well as mechanics and fluid dynamics. These are the 2 chapters which were related to physics. And in entire mass optional, some chapters are little lengthy and theorem related. Let's consider modern algebra in paper 2, which is related to theoretical aspect. Most of the theorems will be available. Next, so what is the book list for optional related to chapters? For linear algebra, you can choose Sehwan's outline on linear algebra, and for calculus, Malik or Arora book. Basically, the book list for each chapter individually, you have to choose after mostly our Krishna Pradeep IAS class notes is enough to complete your entire syllabus. After completion of the entire syllabus, going through the previous year papers, if you find any of the topic or any of the question that were not related to it, then you have to go for the book list. Apart from that, class notes is more than enough for our maths optional. The reason behind that was where maths optional basically includes static portion and repeated questions. So for that reason, if you solve 10 years previous year papers, it's more than enough to get command over maths. And one thing, another important aspect of maths optional was, in our maths optional, one of the biggest thing was you can able to score around 375, which was already scored by successful IAS students. Next, for ordinary differential equations, MD Raisingania book, for dynamics and statistics, Krishna series, and for vector analysis, Sehwan's outline. For more algebra, linear algebra and linear vector analysis. This is related to paper 1. So basically in maths optional, you will be having around 2 parts, section A and section B, both in paper 1 and paper 2. In section A, you will be having both section A and section B. Section A and section B totally includes 250 marks, which is related to paper 1. In section A, 3 chapters, section B, 3 chapters. As I told you, paper 1 is easier to score good marks, because 6 chapters, most of the chapters in paper 1 was easy chapters. For example, if you see here, linear algebra, calculus, analytical geometry. These 3 chapters in section A, differential equations, dynamics and statistics, vector analysis. This is in section B. And there is choice of questions in your paper where, but in the recent times, mixing of questions is giving. Let's consider, if you study linear algebra and calculus and differential equations, ordinary differential equations, it is not enough to get into good score. You have to study all the 6 chapters, where in maths optional, after studying of 6 chapters, you can able to get more marks. The reason was 2-3 chapters club is giving as one question which consists of 50 marks. So in paper 2, the books that you have to refer was, in model algebra, Vardhaman publications, in real analysis, Raisingania, in complex analysis, Krishna series, and linear programming, J.K. Sharma book. And for partial differential equations, Raisingania, mechanics, same book, and numerical analysis and computer programming, you can refer our class notes. So these are the total 13 chapters that was related to maths. So if you observe, the book list which was available in the related to maths optional is correlation, where for one book, one author is enough for studying of 2 to 3 chapters. So how much background plays the role in choosing option? As I told you, basically for maths optional, choosing of maths optional, it doesn't need any background. The reason was, the chapters which are available in maths optional at present is already read by you in your 10th. And the people who is having maths as a background in their engineering, like M1, M2, M3 till M5 and M6, all the chapters that you read in your maths, in your engineering and as well as maths background people is related to that. And for non-maths background people also, the chapters, as I told you, it is related to your childhood chapters. And next important thing that you have to understand is how graduation is different from optional preparation. Basically, as choosing maths optional, you have to have a clear-cut strategy that the chapters that were mentioned in your maths optional was clear to you or not. Once if you feel that the maths optional chapters are clear to you, it is more than enough to choose a maths optional. The reason was, it is a chapter where including of theorems, formulas, and relation to CSAT also. Relation to CSAT also. The chapters which were related to theorems are like modern algebra. The formulas related chapters are real analysis, calculus, complex analysis, ODE, PDE. So the chapters which are related to this were analytical geometry. And relation to CSAT, analytical geometry is a chapter which were there in CSAT as well as maths. So these was the things that you have to understand related to maths optional. And graduation, any graduate can choose maths optional. It doesn't mean that who is having maths as a background should choose the maths optional. Any graduate with basic knowledge of maths can choose maths optional. And we are here to give you the strength of the maths subject by conducting regularly weekend tests and as well as till mentorship, personal mentorship, and as well as test series will boost your marks to get IAS in your first attempt. So what are the tips? Optimal revision, formulas. Where formulas, you have to prepare a formula sheet for 2 papers. Each and every chapter is having a basic formulas is more than enough to get into good marks. And making short notes for all the chapters, solve more problems from each chapter. For example, we are going to provide you around 50 questions from each chapter apart from the class notes is more than enough to have a regular practice for you. It is a strength for you to get command over the subject. If you practice multiple times, for example, as I told you, 50 questions from each chapters, it more than enough to get into maths optional command. So benefits, quick revision as compared to other optionals. So if you see the performance in 2017, you got around 375 marks out of 500, who is All India 8th rank, and 368 marks out of 500, who is around India 4th rank. In 2018, 361. This is the performance of each and every year by choosing a maths optional. So in 2019, 343 marks and 341. These are the one of the highest scores in choosing maths optional. 330, and in 2021, 335, and 2022, 341. In 2023, 336 and 332. For example, the only thing that you have to concentrate in maths optional was syllabus. Once if you get command over the syllabus, it is easy for you to get good score. But little lengthy syllabus, some chapters are little lengthy that you have to work on it. The work that you are providing on maths optional will give you double returns. For example, if you are giving 2 hours per day on maths optional, it will give you 4 hours of results as compared to other optionals. For example, if you are spending 2 hours, you will get 4 hours of results that you are spending on other. Why? Because keep on practicing on one chapter with multiple questions and you will get to know the multiple dimensions of the chapter which will boost your score in your mains. So on 2nd July, Maths Optional Orientation Program will be there in Krishna Pradeep IAS Academy. So do join us and get to know the awareness on Maths Optional. And further, if you have any doubts, you can ask me on that. Thank you.